There are many people in the world who are trying to get rich illegally. The desire to gain wealth makes some people sacrifice literally everything for it. Spectacular thefts can also inspire, especially filmmakers. Here are the 8 biggest thefts in history that actually happened. 1. The robbery of the century. A train in England, August 6, 1963. Participants of the famous robbery of the century on a train in 1963 was the largest train robbery in the UK. The train route ran from Glasgow to London. The thieves planned a robbery in late 1962. To bribe postmen gave one of the robbers a detailed plan of the train route, which was supposed to contain a huge amount of money. On August 6, 1963, a gang of 15 people stopped a train belonging to the British Post Office. How? They gave a false signal to the driver by turning on the red light. When the attackers realized that none of them could drive such a train, they forced the driver to drive it further, ordering him to go to the designated place. In total, the gang stole more than £6 million. Upon reaching the agreed location, the gang loaded the loot into a van and disappeared. However, the participants in the robbery were soon caught and imprisoned. The longest sentence to 30 years in prison was received by the organizer, Bruce Reynolds. Later, Reynolds published a book in 1995 called The Autobiography of a Thief. 2. Theft of jewelry. A hotel in Cannes, July 28, 2013. In July 2013, there was an attack on the Intercontinental Carlton in Cannes, France. The thief, who has not yet been caught, stole $136 million worth of jewelry from the hotel. An Israeli billionaire, Lev Levy, provided jewelry to a hotel in Cannes to create an exclusive exhibition. How did a robber steal jewelry from a hotel? He entered the room wearing a cap and a scarf over his face, with a machine gun in his hand. The guards were not prepared for such a circumstance. Upon seeing the armed attacker, the defenseless guards immediately lay down on the floor. The exhibition was just being installed, which the thief knew perfectly well, and what he decided to use. He quickly grabbed the jewelry that had just been placed on display 72 pieces and ran out the back door. No one else saw him. Carlton Hotel in Cannes, France. Why was this allowed? There were too few guards in the elegant hotel. The amazing thing is that in this hotel Alfred Hitchcock shot the movie The Thief in the hotel in 1955. Did he bring bad luck to the Cannes Hotel? 3. Mona Lisa. Stolen from the Louvre, August 23, 1911. In 1911, the largest theft of a work of art in the 20th century took place. It was made by the Italian employee of the Louvre, Vincenzo Peruggia. On Sunday, he hid in the museum, knowing that the building would be closed to visitors the next day. He hid, and the next day he changed into a white work apron and secretly carried Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. He hid the unframed painting under a white apron and took it out of the museum as soon as the guards were distracted. He took the painting to his small Paris apartment, where he kept it for 2 years. Later, Vincenzo decided to take her to Italy. He probably expected a reward after returning his work to his homeland. He thought that the Italian painter Da Vinci had been robbed of this painting, but he himself presented the Mona Lisa to King Francis I of France. Vincenzo Peruggia. In the end, the painting returned to its place in the Louvre. The court sentenced Vincenzo Peruggia to just 1 year in prison. Later, the deadline was reduced to 7 months anyway. Peruggia, after serving his sentence in prison, served in the army. After the war, he got married and opened a painting workshop. 4. Robbery of a jewelry store in Paris, December 5, 2008. Let's stay in Paris for a while. In 2008, another robbery took place here, this time the Harry Winston jewelry store. Not everyone knows, but the Harry Winston jewelry store chain is one of the most luxurious in the world. It is from Harry Winston that Queen Elizabeth buys. From time to time, the stores of this brand become a tasty morsel for robbers. On December 5, 2008, 4 men dressed as women broke into a jewelry store in Paris. They had pistols and a hand grenade, which scared the sellers a lot. They stole about $90 million worth of jewelry. They packed the jewelry in bags and took it out at gunpoint. Everything went smoothly, without a single shot being fired. All the employees of the jewelry store knew the thieves. They also knew the layout of the building very well. Later, the police detained as many as 25 people connected with the robbery. 5. Diamond theft in Antwerp, Belgium, February 16, 2003. The famous Antwerp Diamond Center, the capital of diamonds, became the main target of robbers in 2003, led by Leonardo Bartolo. He had been planning this attack on the Diamond Center with his assistants for 3 years. How did Leonardo find out about the security system at the center? While coming up with a robbery plan, he pretended to be an Italian diamond dealer, so he gained the trust of the staff, but also obtained a copy of the keys to the safe with precious stones. Antwerp Diamond Center. The robbers managed to empty most of the 160 boxes of diamonds. They took out about $100 million worth of these stones. It would seem that a competent operation would provide the thieves with a luxurious life, especially since at first it was difficult for the police to find their tracks. However, investigators found a half-eaten sandwich, which led to the DNA results of one of the suspects. Everyone was arrested. Leonardo Bartolo was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his daring act. 6. Bank robbery. USA. California, March 24, 1970. This robbery was committed by 7 armed men who robbed the United California Bank in the USA. The amount of the loot was estimated at $30 million. It may not be very impressive compared to other stories. However, if you recalculate this amount for today, you will get about $100 million. And in the 1970s, it immediately became a record in thefts. The organized group was headed by Amilo Denizio. The man flawlessly monitored the activities of his gang. They left no traces. And they probably wouldn't have been caught if it hadn't been for another theft, this time in Ohio. However, this robbery failed. The FBI managed to find the apartment of one of the gang members, and then using fingerprints on unwashed plates identify the others. Fortunately, most of the stolen valuables were returned. 7. The art collector who robbed 170 museums in Europe. For 7 years, the police could not find the museum thief. He stole many valuables from 170 European museums, paintings, cups and sculptures. His usual targets were poorly guarded galleries and museums. The thief's name was Stefan Breitweiser. He usually came to the museums immediately after the opening. The employees were sleepy in the morning, so their vigilance also fell off. This is what Breitweiser used. All valuables were carried out either under a coat or in a backpack. It also happened that he threw them out the window. During the opening of the Richard Wagner Museum in Lucerne, the robber committed the last theft. However, it all ended in failure. Stefan Breitweiser confessed to stealing 239 works of art. They quickly calculated what their total cost was: $1.4 billion. Breitweiser, however, swore that he did not sell them at all, but collected them as a collector. 8. Theft at Amsterdam Airport, February 25, 2005. The fifth paragraph mentions Antwerp, the World Diamond Center. However, it must be remembered that the diamonds must somehow get to the center. Most often, they go to the Dutch Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, from where they are then transported to Antwerp. 4 men came up with the idea to intercept the diamonds and decided to disguise themselves as employees responsible for the convoy of precious stones. Before the robbery, the criminal group stole a KLM car, as well as clothes from the Dutch aviation services. Therefore, they could drive directly onto the platform without arousing any suspicion. On the day the diamonds arrived in Amsterdam, the men came to the airport to steal a cargo of stones. Everything went smoothly. It turned out that the criminals had made a deal with the airport staff. The value of the stolen loot is estimated at $118 million. The diamond robbers have not been caught to this day.